Premed office hours. It is acceptance day. Congratulations for those of you who have received some acceptances today. It is October 15th, 2025. And it is, we should celebrate this as like National Acceptance Day. Although
well, it's not the only acceptance day.
The DO people will come at me.
The gates have opened for MD.
The gates have opened. But then you need to clarify. Yes. There's so many asterisks. Well, if you're DO, not really. Oh, if you're early decision, not really. It's just not worth it. It's just October 15th. Screw the holiday. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, founder of Medical School Headquarters, MABS, author of the Premed Playbook series, and all of that good stuff. Host of the Premed Years podcast. But my best title of all is friend to these two amazing people. Dina Golini, former senior admissions officer at Stanford School of Medicine, former assistant director of advising at Brown University's Warren Alpert Medical School. And
co-host
now
of
host
the
of
Med School Years podcast.
Med School Years, co-host of Med School Years. Yes.
Yeah.
Dina, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing very well. It's October 15th. So getting some good news in from some students, which is always the best part of this job. So
exciting. They all of the hard work. I mean, some of these students you've been working with for 10 months, 11 months, sometimes longer. And they finally can say, hey, like it has paid off. What does that mean to you?
It's
like
awesome.
you've been working with them. It's obviously their hard work, but your guidance.
Yeah, I think anyone who's in this profession in any capacity is an advisor, a counselor, right? Like it's all about the journey. It's all about like getting the student to the end goal. And it's just so rewarding in the end to see that all of the advice we've given and all of their hard work has come to fruition.
Yeah.
So it's feel good stuff.
I love all the messages we get. So I can only imagine the same feelings you all have. Also here today, Dr. Christine Crispin, former director of admissions at UC Irvine, former AdCom member, director of curriculum at CACMed at USC. USC had a big win this weekend against Michigan, I believe it was. Congrats. Alabama also had an okay win.
They had a struggle win. They had a win.
It was a win. A win's a win. A win's a win. That's all.
A win's a win. Trust me. I told you, I can't believe I was saying this when I sent you a Go Gators. I'm like, come on, beat them. But yeah.
Yeah. We beat Texas. We couldn't beat Texas's big brother, Texas A&M, though. Oh, well. It is what it is. How you doing, Christine?
I'm doing all right. I'm also enjoying the messages that are going to slowly roll in with the I got accepted.
Best.
So
best ever.
Part of the day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who are watching, usually the questions are rolling in fast and furious by now. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask. If you want to celebrate with us, I got my button ready. Can applaud. You guys can hear that, right? Can you hear that? The applause?
Barely.
Yeah,
Barely.
I didn't hear it.
Really? Oh man, it's really loud for me.
Oh.
Yeah,
there
that's
it is.
Too loud for me. Okay, you got it. That's how. Okay.
It's like I'm at the Eras Tour concert or something.
Yes. The same applause that we give Taylor Swift coming on stage, we will give you. Chico says, hello, excuse me. No excuse needed. You're here. Interrupt. Is hospice clinical? I asked because my health advisor at my university, who is part of writing the committee letter, said he doesn't count it because all you are doing sometimes is talking to the patients and it is at their home sometimes, which is not in a clinical setting. Let me know who your health advisor is and I will set them straight. Yeah. So I often will, at least lately, I've been clarifying or adding a little bit of extra information, Dina, to this question when students ask, right? It's such a common question. What's clinical? And I will call hospice clinical, yet a little non-traditional, because it's not in a clinical setting, which, I mean, being an EMT, you're not in a clinical setting either. You're out on the streets or wherever. But oftentimes it is exactly this. You're sitting and talking to the patients. But the way that I argue that it is clinical experience. When I define clinical experience, I loosely define it as doing something with patients in some sort of clinical-ish way, depending on what that patient needs in that moment. And hospice patients need companionship. They need connection. They need to know they're not alone on this last phase of their life. And that's why, to me, like, it's clinical experience. I don't know what you think here.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that I've seen a lot of students reflect very well on hospice experiences because there's so much patient interaction in terms of expressing empathy and all of the things that are really important. I think they get a lot of meaning out of it.
100%.
I think students working with families who are literally at their most vulnerable point of time, I mean, both families and patients, there is something to be learned about from that experience. And there's certainly more things to even be gained from that experience. I actually think most students should go through hospice, volunteer. And I think there is something to learn about how to navigate patient care with that mentality.
Yeah. So Chicos,
We want to know.
send this to your advisor, because and right, everyone has their opinions. Ours is just right and theirs is wrong. No. Jeffrey, is it worth going to Duke for a 12-month paid cancer research internship? I'd be leaving my EMT, EEG tech, medical assistant, and data entry position. Christine, when I read this, there's a question that's missing here that's always assumed that is being asked. Is it worth going to Duke for a 12-month paid cancer internship to highlight on my application that will help me stand out to medical school admissions offices, and maybe even particularly because Duke is my number one choice? What do you say to students who ask this question?
Is it worth it? I mean, if it's worth it to you because you want to do cancer research at Duke, then yeah, it's worth it. Is it necessary, quote unquote, necessary to make applications stand out or to do whatever magical thing having Duke on your resume is going to do? Maybe only to Duke or, to a few people. I don't generally say do it because you think there's a magic behind having Duke on your resume. I think you should do it because you're interested in cancer research and Duke has a fantastic program and you want to do that.
Yeah. Yep. Don't do it to stand out. Do it because you want to.
Yeah.
Kamenev had an interview this week due to funding cuts. I lost my last job as a member and recently replaced it as a mentor. I mentioned it during interviews, but no detail or questions. Should I send an update to explain? So I'm assuming med school interview. They lost their job due to funding cuts, and they're concerned that this loss of a job is going to impact their admission for some reason. Dina, if they mentioned they lost their job because of funding cuts, I mean, that's not an uncommon thing. I would say
It's not.
Don't think
It's
about
not an uncommon thing. I think there are a lot of students where things fall through the cracks that they listed on their primary, and whether for funding or they had to move or for various reasons, they had to shift gears and take something else. And that's common. I would let it go. I mean, if you mentioned it during the interview and there were no details or questions, like I wouldn't go and make the effort to bring that up again in an update letter. You could, if you replaced this with something else, then if you're writing an update letter, you could mention that in the update letter, like you've, since applying started a new role, but I don't think you have to chase this at all.
Yeah. I would not. Congrats on the interview.
Yes.
Marvin, I just got an interview invite yesterday at a UC school. Congrats. Do you think we reached the halfway point of interview invite sent? Students are always wanting to classify this.
Yes. Can I make a comment on this?
Yeah.
I looked back yesterday at my list from last cycle, and the very last interview that one of my students had was March 27th. I had like 6 or 7 interviews in March, probably 20 in February. So I don't think it's the halfway point yet. I would say usually Thanksgiving-ish is a good halfway point. Yeah. But you can still expect invites and interviews through the end of March.
Yeah, I think we often say here, and we're not the only one, so I'm not going to take credit for like inventing the Thanksgiving rule, that if you don't have an interview invite by Thanksgiving, it's time to start exploring potentially reapplying. And people take that to mean that no more interview invites come out after Thanksgiving. And that's not what we're saying. No, we're saying chances are getting smaller and smaller, right? Each week, each month, as you go on, starting from day one, starting from the beginning of June and July, as interviews start rolling out.
It's like a car depreciation.
100%. And so
drive it off the lot.
Yeah. And
10% out the door.
You and I talk often about as soon as you click submit, you're already in the mindset of reapplying so that you start working towards a potential reapplication if needed. And so,
I think instead of reapplying until you have an acceptance.
Yep. That's it. Question over from Instagram. I got my MCAT score back yesterday. It's a retake, 505, 127, 121, 128, 129. I spent many months studying for cars, improved by just 1 point. As an ESL, I started learning English 8 years ago. They had a follow-up question, will this be counted against me for cars? And the answer is maybe, right? I always call on Emory in this situation because they are very clear that anything less than a 124 in any section is considered non-competitive. I also know a student who got into a Florida school with a 121. So it really just depends on the school. Any thoughts, either of you, on what they should do in this situation?
Look, if the rest of their application is solid and they don't, I mean, this was a retake. So if they do not believe, if they've put their efforts out there to study and they've done what they think they can do, you can try to apply and see what happens. I mean, you never know. None of us have the foresight to know exactly what's going to happen in one direction or another. Because really the options are apply with that score and a strong application, or retake the MCAT. There's not a lot of.
There's a third option. There's give up and go do something else.
We don't put that in the universe.
Yeah, we don't do that.
But I mean, it's really your 2 options. And so if you feel the rest of your application is strong and you have something to, you have something to give, being a reapplicant is not the end of the world, and you can see what happens knowing your weak point is that car score.
Yep. Yeah, I think it ultimately just comes down to that. You have 2 options: retake the MCAT and don't apply, or apply knowing that your MCAT, your cars section specifically, is a little bit lower, and potentially you're working toward another MCAT retake in the future if needed. So I think, and we were just talking about this as a team earlier, I think one of the biggest struggles that I have with this process of applying to medical school and the way that all of the applications it's a lot of money and time to put into an application. And students are seeking some sort of reassurance that this time and money being spent is going to lead to an acceptance. And I understand that from a financial standpoint. I understand that just from a fear of putting yourself out there standpoint. But as cliche as it sounds, right, nothing in life is guaranteed. And so when you're trying to seek some reassurance from us as experts or from your own advisors at your own school as their experts, you're never going to get 100% certainty from anyone. And if anyone says, hey, you're going to get in, right, as sure as we can be, we know students with 4.0 GPAs and 528 MCAT scores who don't get into medical school. And sometimes we know why, sometimes we don't. There's randomness to this. And so this question is ultimately coming from a place of fear, of wanting some reassurance before moving forward. And I just don't think there is any. You just have to take that leap of faith. And yeah, time and money are involved in that, unfortunately. So, Owen, can you explain the main difference between TMDSAS and AMCAS? Dina, AMCAS and TMDSAS. What are the big differences?
Texas.
Besides letters.
Yeah, TMDSAS is solely for Texas schools. They have their own application system that is similar to AMCAS, which a majority of all other schools use. So you're only applying to Texas schools on TMDSAS, whereas AMCAS is for all of the other medical schools. Now, if you're asking what the main difference is in terms of like essays and questions and things like that, there's definitely different categories and counts for for essays and secondaries and things like that. But for the most part, one's for Texas and one's not.
Yep. 5,000 characters for a personal statement versus 5,300, 500 characters for activity descriptions versus 700 for AMCAS. And then there's the optional and required essays that are 2,500 characters each. The optional essay is required. So yeah. And then price is different, right? It's a flat fee, thankfully, to apply to TMDSAS. I wish AMCAS and AAMCAS would do that.
And I don't think they have to send their transcripts in right away.
They do not. Yeah. So that I love that. You don't send in transcripts until you're accepted. They go, okay, if you were lying to us, we're going to find out now, which I think is brilliant. It's like,
it's what the UC schools do for undergrad.
It's so smart. It's like, I'm going to spend all of this time and money and effort to verify all of these applications to catch 0.001% of students who may lie. Like, let's catch them on the back end after
when it matters.
When they've been accepted, when it matters.
And if they lie, let them loose. There's someone else waiting in the wings.
Yep.
Yes.
I love this. James posting this after our conversation. Before you can get accepted into medical school, you have to accept yourself. Love it.
Love it.
So true. My daughter is here October 15th with 8 interviews, 4 DO, 4 MD, thanks to Dina's guidance and advice. Thank you, Dina.
That's amazing. I don't know
Michelle's house.
Whose parent this is, but I'm so happy to hear that.
Who's your daughter? Give initials maybe. One school that sent an interview invite has a weekend school tour only. Since you cannot travel those 2 days, does that appear as non-interest to the school? Do they gauge interest still? What do you think, Dina? Maybe that rings a bell. Maybe the student asked that question.
I mean, if you can't make it, especially if you're not in the same state, I've had a lot of students reach out to schools and say, can you offer me an alternative date, or do you have any sort of like virtual tour? And usually schools will be accommodating. Usually that's not taken into consideration into a decision. I mean, I would say if it's a school like, you're waitlisted at and then you get invited for the tour, then it can really demonstrate your interest.
Nice.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear this.
I think a simple email back saying, like, authentically, oh my gosh, I'm so sad to miss this. Here's why I have to miss it. Is there any alternatives?
Students do that all the
Yep.
time.
Yep. It shows that interest and some action to try to make something happen. I recently started using Mapped and love it so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Gray. But would my free account expire at some point, or is it safe? It's safe. Free. We have Maps Pro. It includes being able to chat with our advising team, storing letters of recommendations like Interfolio. But yeah, all that free stuff is there. Go use it. Jessica asks, how soon is too soon to start building the AMCAS profile? Christina, I'm assuming they're asking actually going into AMCAS and filling out information. One of my biggest pet peeves with AMCAS, with just how they do it, TMDSAS I think is similar, is that information doesn't carry over cycle to cycle.
Well, it's year to year, I think. I don't think it's open yet.
It's so stupid. It's like, why did you build this system to basically get expunged every single year? Let a student create an account as a freshman, let them go and add their classes. It's basically what Mapped is, right? It's like, go create your Mapped account, go add your classes, go add your activities, go build it. And then when you're ready to actually click submit, all of your stuff is there. You don't have to stress over it between May 1st or whatever and May 29th when they allow submissions. It's just such a silly, like, it's really
it has to be a something to do like with saving data and not having enough room, because undergrad applications for Common App, you can do that.
Yeah. No, I think it's just a
which
random
has
decision
higher
that they made at some
volume,
point.
right? So that makes no sense. But if you're a reapplicant on AMCAS, everything is in there from the previous cycle.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I had students this year that said, oh, it was so nice I didn't have to go and fill everything in again.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, what did they not have to fill in? Like demographic information, transcript information, maybe.
Yeah, transcript information is already there from the previous cycle, which is kind of nice. But I agree. You should, it could be that maybe they change things from cycle to cycle. And maybe that's why, like a question or a, who knows? But
just 2025 is still open. 2026, I don't think is there yet. So,
go fill it out and Mapped. I have my first interview on Monday. Congrats. Is it still recommended to send thank you letters if they accept them? When should we send them? 24 to 48 hours later. Dina, are you pro thank you notes, thank you letter, or not?
If the school accepts them, that's the thing. A lot of schools on interview day will say, please don't send us thank you notes. Like, just you being here is thank you enough, and take that to heart. They mean that. They don't want them. But if the school says you're welcome to send a thank you email, then absolutely you can do it. I always love like the formality of being gracious. And but 24 to 48 hours, I think that's a good reasonable time frame, unless it's like Friday afternoon. Like, don't send it on the weekend. Nobody's going to look at them. And if they didn't give you the email addresses for your interviewers, there's a reason for that. Like, unless the interviewer gave it to you, like, don't go digging on the internet for contact info. I would just send a general thank you to the main admissions email and say, please kindly share this with the faculty that interviewed me.
Congrats. Monica asks, is there a point of sending secondaries, at this point? Got verified beginning of August and have been sending secondaries since then. Sent 25, but still have 7 more MD secondaries and 11 DO secondaries. Haven't sent DOs yet. 1 interview. Friends, this is why we talk about pre-writing secondaries. Christine.
I mean,
Yeah, it's, I mean,
thanks.
I'm not going to say it's late because it's October 15th, but if they were verified at the beginning of August, that's almost all of August, all of
That's
September, and now mid-October, we're
10
2.5
weeks.
months past when they were verified, assuming they also got secondaries around that time. Is there a point to send secondaries? What are the risks of sending secondaries 2 months after, let's say, receiving it?
I mean, the reality it is late in the cycle. I mean, as we've started off this conversation today, today's acceptance day for MD. They start offering acceptance now. As we are tracking interviews, students are getting interview offers in November, December, January. So the cycle is progressing, whether you want to accept that or not. Should you send it in? I mean, you've already applied to them. You might as well. What are the risks? The risks are you won't get reviewed in a timely way for them to offer you an interview. That's really the only risk. It's going to be the timing of your review. And by the time they get to you, there conceivably will be no more spots.
Yeah.
Because of a delay.
It seems like the same kind of answer response is, at the end of the day, it's time and money. And if you want to spend the time and spend the money to submit the secondaries, submit them, knowing that it may be for naught, but not submitting them, for certain it's for naught.
Right. I would definitely still send the DOs. They have a little bit later of a timeline than MD programs, and so maybe that's where you prioritize. I hope at least the 7 that are remaining are not your top choices. That you prioritized your top choices, and so what's left, you're okay to let go of, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 months, over 2 months, 2.5 months since you were
2.5 months.
verified. So why are there still 7 lingering, I guess is my question. But
my guess would be
not everyone pre-writes. So
yeah, my guess would be that they're overly anxious about everything that they're
I was going
writing.
to say, stop overthinking.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Secondaries, there are a lot of them, but I think they're the easiest of the bunch. So
I like that they're straightforward. Answer the
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I got a question over here from Instagram. Let me post that.
But congrats on the interview, Monica. That's a good thing.
Yeah, got an interview. I've not received an interview invite yet. 505 TMDSAS. I'm currently doing a corporate job, trying to find healthcare job on the weekends. Should I drop corporate job in case of reapplying? Sarah, it's an impossible question to answer for you without knowing the rest of your application and what it looks like. I think, Dina, a lot of people have a corporate job and they do clinical experience part-time as often as they can, and it's not an issue. So it really just depends on what the rest of that application looks like, right?
Absolutely. And you shouldn't be, if you do have a corporate job, you shouldn't be completely removed from the healthcare space. Because especially if you have to reapply, you don't want that to be a gap on your application.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
We need
more
context.
More context, definitely. This is potentially, Sarah, a perfect opportunity to schedule a 30-minute call with one of our advisors and lay out your whole application and let us pick apart. Right, you gave us an MCAT score. Your GPA may be the issue. We just don't see it.
Right.
Or maybe you didn't give it to us because it's a 4.0 and it's probably not an issue. So, yeah. Got into U-Shoes today. Are you a U-Shoes or a USIS person? I'm more of a USIS person. I don't know why I just said U-Shoes. Do you either of you have a stance on pronunciation of that?
Not that one.
No.
It's the military medical school, for those who don't know. The university, United States University Health Services, I think is what it stands for. Thank you, Dr. Gray, for all of your content. It truly helped me craft an application. Thank you, Dr. Crispin, for helping me during a mock interview a few weeks ago. Fantastic. Congrats.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Not used shoes. Yeah. I'm a useless person. So, all right. Danny asks, how would you consider splitting up activity dates? If I did an activity for all 4 years of college, but only during school years, no summers, should I put 4 date intervals or one big one? One big one.
Yeah. It's assumed if it was during college, it was during the academic calendar year.
Yep. Yeah. Versus Dina, based on that comment, if they only did it during the summers, would you then split it into 4?
Yes, then I would split it up. And for those of you listening or watching on AMCAS, you do have the ability to put in date segments. So if it was something you did each summer, then I would put in the segments for each summer for that activity.
Yeah. Chico's quick question, and I sent the email. Thank you. I saw the email. I saw who it was. Well, we have lots of friends in that area, so we'll see if anyone knows him. If I work with you when I am applying, I can't read today. When I am doing my application, would you help with both AMCAS and TMDSAS? Also, secondaries or just main application? We help with it all.
Everything.
All of it.
Todos. Yeah. So we do everything based on time. And so if you have time left to work with your advisor, you can work on whatever it is you want to work on. If you need more time, you add more time. So we don't, I think that uncomplicates things versus how most other people do it. And by the way, I remember what I was going to talk about during our team meeting earlier. One of our collaboration, not competition, but one of our big competitors in the space, who I know very well, I'm friends with them, just sold to private equity. So another one bites the dust. I think that are the two biggest people now, at least that I consider big in the space of medical school admissions advising, are now both owned by the same PE company, which I think is good for us because PE destroys everything it touches.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, very interesting.
That is very interesting.
Tell you
You'll
guys
have to
offline.
message us, let us know.
Yeah. Let's see. Parker asks, sorry if I'm repeating an already asked question. If verified in mid-August and submitted secondaries by 2 weeks, but have only heard from 2 schools, 1 rejection, 1 interview invite, should I be concerned? This is the great unknown, Dina, right now. Is we are in the middle of waiting.
Yeah.
What should students do? All their stuff's in, and now it's just waiting.
Well, in this particular case, this student was verified in mid-August, submitted secondaries by 2 weeks, which brings you to September 1st. You have to assume your application likely, that is like the thick of the pool, probably was not read until October 1st, which is not that long ago. If then, it could potentially still be sitting there. So, I mean, the fact that you got 1 interview invite already, I think you're in good shape, and I wouldn't be concerned yet because you submitted so late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of the conversation is for me, there's, and this is just purely anecdotal, and so you guys have more direct experience with this. I think what a lot of schools do is they will rank by MCAT score and or GPA. And so those with lower stats are just going to get looked at later. And so for Parker here, if Parker has a 505 MCAT score, maybe a 3.6 at GPA, he's still in the pile to be looked at. It's just taking a while to get down to him. And the hope is that there are still interview invites left by the time they get to him. I mean, that's the game that we play here. So,
yeah.
And I'll just throw it out there as the person who used to review, I say this all the time, I was personally guilty. This is such a small percentage of your job. This isn't your full-time job in many cases for people who are screening for interview. that you have to work it in. It's not just built into your normal day. And so I was personally guilty of late reviews pretty consistently.
Mm.
This is
Yep.
where you know, the earlier the better, obviously, because everybody's kind of knows you have to get things done early.
Mhm.
And as it progresses, now you're doing you're reviewing and doing committee work, plus you're interviewing, plus you're still trying to screen. It just keeps compounding. So
It's a lot going on.
Never ending. Yeah. So yeah, good luck, Parker. Lots of waiting. And also, what's acceptance day mean? So October 15th is when the AAMC tells their schools, and TMDSAS also follows this rule. TMDSAS schools, that October 15th is when admissions decisions can start coming out for non-early decision applicants. So, but not, as Dina, you pointed out, it's not the only day that acceptances come.
No.
So don't be afraid. Chico's said, thank you so much, very much. I would definitely work with you all. You have helped so much already. Awesome. Thank you, Chico's. DT, I unfortunately cannot afford a mock interview right now. Any tips for free or low cost interview prep? I don't have my book right here. There's a book, amazing book that you can check out.
It's in back of me somewhere.
And this actually sparked my memory. I really need to write stuff down. This was the other thing I wanted to talk about with the team this morning, is getting the mini mock interview shows back on the calendar during this last quarter of the year. So DT, stay tuned. We have a series that's called the mini mock interview show, where students will do a free mock interview. It's a 30-minute mock interview. That's, what would you say, 15 or 20 minutes of the interview, and then some amount of feedback. We do for free so that we can make content to put out on the interwebs. So it's a way for students who can't afford a regular mock interview with us, and a way for us to make content. It's a win-win for everyone. So stay tuned for that. We'll hopefully start.
We also have our interview question generator.
Yes, interview question generator on the website. And then there's tons of YouTube videos that you can go watch that we put out as well. Jessica, do medical schools have a bias or an opinion on if a degree is obtained online versus going in person? I do have more context to add, but I'll start here. Christine, everyone has bias and opinions. Yeah. What do you think?
I think they could. Yeah, I think there are going to be some that do. Obviously, there's going to be mitigating circumstances. Maybe you're in the military, you travel, various things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hardcore schools, there are some, the MSAR prereq thing will tell you what they will or won't accept when it's online. Things like labs. I don't know many schools ever accepting online labs outside of the COVID period of time. So yeah, I think there are some risks. I think at minimum, I would try to make sure the prereqs or the prereq labs were done in person.
Yeah. So this is where let's go to the data, right? This is a PDF that the AAMC puts out. It's free. If you just Google MSAR PDFs, it'll take you to a web page with all of this information. Let me zoom in here. And it'll have online courses. Now, this doesn't say online degree, but it'll have online courses listed for the prereqs. And so you just have to take a look. So here's University of South Alabama. They will only accept stuff during COVID, basically, for those that are yellow. And a lot of times it's going to be the hard sciences that are more of an issue. You can see here, awesome, Alice Walton School of Medicine. They're a new school, and they're like, yeah, online, not a problem. That's right. It's a little more progressive. Here's Arkansas, Arizona. So just go down this list. Here's one, Cal North State. They're like, no online courses. You guys shouldn't be too picky. You barely got your.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Oh, sorry. Congrats, Cal North State, on your accreditation. It's fantastic. You
Please
finally
keep
got
it.
please keep it. Yes. So yeah, so just go and look. Check it out. Doing in-person labs. Yeah, again, it's not just the labs potentially. So if that's what you have to do, then it may limit your school list, and that's okay. Chile 138. Schools have said they are receiving more applications than past years. Do you think more people are applying, or there are just more schools applied per person? I haven't heard anything anecdotally about this
Haven't
year,
heard that one either.
so I
Usually don't hear those numbers until after deadlines have passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
don't
feel like
know.
it took forever to verify this year. I know, Ryan, you showed us a graph that said that
Yeah.
wasn't true, but I felt like it took forever this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chile 138, that's data that we look at all the time. And so again, I'll share my screen here and you can see how I we can work through this together of where to look at this information. So I usually just Google AAMC data, and then this applicants and matriculants is the page to go to. Unfortunately, they got rid of all of their PDFs. I don't know why they did that. It's super annoying. And so you have to download the Excel file. I usually just download the first one here, and let's see if that works. And then I'll change the screen that I'm sharing here.
I'm doing some math in my head, which is rare. So I'm not good at math at all. I'm a writer. I'm not good at math.
We believe in you, Dina.
Thank you. You can do it. I'm doing a little math in my head based on this question, and I'm thinking back to COVID. And for students who were to enter college in 2020, right, who maybe deferred for a year because like of the pandemic, and maybe it wasn't in person, maybe it's pushed a lot of people now that where the numbers are higher this year. That math might work out, Chile 138.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So here's the number that I always look at. Again, it's almost always on the bottom of these documents. The total number of applications divided by the total number of applicants gives you the number of applicants or applications per applicant. And so this number has been holding pretty steady at around 18. Obviously it's 18.6 this year. And so it'll be interesting to see. Now it's interesting because these numbers are really big. So if this goes up to like 18.9, maybe that's not a huge shift, but maybe it is pretty significant. I don't know. But we'll keep an eye on that.
But part of that also is not valid because it says 51,000, and Christine, you can probably back me up on this, like 51,000 so applications, but that doesn't necessarily mean completed applications.
That is just submitted through AMCAS.
Right. So you could,
so
a school could potentially have 5,000 applications sitting there that students never completed.
Correct.
They didn't do their secondary. They didn't get the final letter in. They didn't do. There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is annoying.
Yep. Anish, if schools send you a secondary, does that always mean they read your application? No, in fact, it probably means nothing. I say this because some schools don't employ pre-screening.
You cannot talk today. You haven't had your cherry
I'm not
Coke.
sure if they're doing this for rankings or money. That's exactly what they're doing it for. So I'll call them out real quick. Number one, it takes a lot of work to screen applications to determine who they're sending secondaries to, who they're not. With AI tools these days, obviously that workload gets reduced by a bunch if they are going to utilize it. But the biggest reason to not pre-screen historically is number one, money.
Application fee.
And number two, the more secondaries they send and the more secondaries that are received, that increases the total number, as Dina, you were just mentioning, right? And that increases the total number of applications to that school, which reduces the acceptance rate, which is one of the factors in the U.S. News and World
U.S.
Report
News. It
ranking.
all comes down to U.S. News.
All comes
Reports
down to U.S.
rankings.
News. So historically, I say this word a lot lately, right? There are perverted incentives for the medical schools to not screen, both financially and for U.S. News and World Rankings reporting rankings. So, yeah, getting a secondary means absolutely nothing from the far majority of schools. Now, if you know a school screens and you get a secondary, that means something. What does that mean, Christine?
That means I used to do this. Somebody actually put the eyeballs on your application. When I worked and did this part, we would screen academically. You had to meet, and this was in the old MCAT, and I don't actually even remember the numbers, but you had to meet a certain threshold, both GPA and MCAT. Even in subsections, you had to meet a certain threshold. And when they didn't get that automatic screen, they reverted to me and my staff, and we would eyeball every single application. And this is where the holistic review really came into play, because you are now looking at their experiences and whatever their story is and whatever they've put in there to see if there's a reason why their numbers are lower. Is it close? I mean, you start getting all those details, but that's really where the rest of the application comes into play pre-secondary. Now, does that mean you're going to get an interview or anything beyond that? No, but at least they know they've looked at your application and they like the rest of what they saw.
Yep. Good luck. What are these subsection thresholds? There, it varies by school. So
yeah, and like I said, my time was during the old MCAT, and so I actually have no memory of those numbers because I've wiped them out and moved on to the 500s.
Yeah, I mean, what we were shooting for as students back then was a 10 in every section. That was kind of the goal, getting a 30 overall. I scored 10s in the sciences.
Right? Number was 45.
40. It was out of 45. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I scored a 10 in the sciences, so I keep that claim to fame. But like many people, I struggled with what it was known as verbal reasoning back then.
Verbal
the cars
reasoning.
section.
And then they had an additional number, right? It was like
your essay number
or a letter or some.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there was a writing sample that you had to write, and that was reviewed, and that was back in the Scantron days. But the test was only 4.5 hours or so back then, so that was good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we got to most questions. Let's see. Danny, I have a leadership position with a student-ran organization and was wondering who should I put as a contact? We don't have an advisor, or if we did, they're not directly involved. Would it be okay to put the club president? Sure. Go for it. Yeah. I mean, even for like hobbies, right? It's like put yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That is it. Oh, Danny asked this other question earlier. I forgot. How would you consider splitting up activity dates? Oh no, that's the one we read. There was another one. That. Yeah, there was another one about
one just jumped in at the end too.
Let's see. Oh, Michelle's house back. What are the most important factors in comparing the fit of a school? Research versus clinical, instruction approach, location, urban versus suburban versus rural. If not U.S. News, what reference? Definitely not U.S. News. What is a good guide? It's funny. Were we talking about this? I think a couple weeks ago, I was like, I would love to come up with a ranking system, but then we were like, how do you rank a school when ultimately it's such a
personal decision?
So subjective. Yeah.
So I don't know if you can come up with a ranking, because that's what everyone wants, a give me best to worst ranking so that I can look at my list of where I've been accepted and I'll just go to the best one according to that ranking. But it's so much more than that. I think, Dina, you came from a school at Stanford that's super competitive. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the super competitive students that go there continue to be super competitive potentially in medical school. And some of the students are like, oh, I don't like this environment. It's a little bit too much for me.
There are a lot of students at competitive schools who are not happy.
Yeah.
Just overall, undergrad, med school, just not happy. And
I
you
had
have
a
to think about
conversation.
all of that.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a student who interviewed at a super competitive school. And the student, like at one of the meet and greets, the student told them how competitive the class is amongst themselves and how like cutthroat they are.
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, good times."
Yeah. So it's all personal fit.
And when you go to second look days, which is
Yeah.
like accepted student days, that's when you really can get a vibe for the campus, for the environment, for the other students who were accepted. And a lot of students walk away saying, it just didn't feel right, or it was instant and I just felt like this was the place for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst part of not having in-person interviews, to be perfectly honest, is you miss out on that vibe.
Yeah. Just wait a little bit. I think in-person interviews are going to make a comeback. Unfortunately.
I'm sad about that too, though. I don't love that idea.
Yeah.
I don't love the
here's
idea.
Why.
Here's why.
Either. I think medical schools are aware of tools out there with AI getting as good as it is, where a student can have their phone or something right below the screen or somewhere near, or maybe it's an app running on their computer that the software, if they're just using Zoom, they're not going to be able to know. And the tools out there are listening to the conversation and providing bullet points and answers on how to respond. And I think schools are aware of these things, and it's really easy to tell when you're reading on a screen, and they're just going to be like, screw it, come back in person. And then we know you're not cheating. So
it's too bad.
Yeah, don't cheat, people. But
yeah.
All right, friends, we'll end there. A quick question about Application Academy. We typically start in January, late January. We're redoing it for next cycle. I will be the instructor the whole class period. So the whole cycle. So stay tuned for Application Academy news. If you want to work with Dina, with Christine, with any of our amazing advisors, we have 5 full-time advisors, 3 part-time advisors, a fantastic team, former directors of admissions, senior admissions officers who are working with students one-on-one. And today is a happy day for a lot of the team, because they're getting those emails saying, hey, we did it. It's a great feeling. So go to medicalschoolhq.net and check out everything we have to offer. Dina, Christine, have a wonderful day. I'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.